Oops. Good morning. Right. We are a little bit late because I was late with school drop-off, kindy drop-off. And anyway, it all fits perfectly with doing a focus of using the map on the juggle, which I'm going to do today. So because I was running late, I haven't actually pre-filled anything. So what I'm going to do this morning is pretty much fill out the noticing map. I'll jump over and show it here. Oops, possibly. Fill out the noticing map as I would if I was just working through this myself, as I kind of am right now, winging it as we go this morning. And so what I'm going to do, I did a few polls around the place on what are some of the main challenges, particularly facing rural women. And the number one that kept coming up was just the juggle. And I think that's not just for us as rural women. It's kind of for so many at the moment. We're feeling pulled in so many directions all at the same time. And it's very much something that I am experiencing at the moment as well. So what I will do is up here in the top right is just kind of put managing the juggle. And I'm going to do it a little bit differently this morning and actually jump over to this corner here, which is what's the stuff that shows up inside that gets in the way of me moving towards what matters. And I'm not starting over here in the what matters section because I'm not 100% clear on that. I'm going to use working through this to kind of help me get a bit clearer. But where it's a little bit easier is to kind of pause and notice and go, okay, what's coming up under my skin at the moment? So it's a little bit kind of going, I have to do it all. There's a lot of physical stuff going on. So it's kind of that heart racing, tightness in my throat. It's also a little bit kind of like my mind's like, well, what is most important? How do I do it all? Which kind of goes to, I can't do everything. And so then along for the ride comes probably like with that heart racing and tightness, there's like, yeah, there is this frustration that it's not easier. That kind of just low level hovering anxiety almost on edgeness isn't really a feeling, but it sums up, I think, that feeling when we're just trying to manage everything. So I start having all of this stuff show up here under my skin. And so then if we jump down here and go, okay, well, what do I tend to do when that inner stuff shows up? So when I start thinking, right, I have to do it all. How do I do everything? What's most important right now? I can't do everything. And that starts kind of churning. So often it's like, and this bottom corner is tricky because it's a little bit about what we're doing on the outside, but it's also the behaviors that we're doing as well. So sometimes it's like rumination, where you kind of get caught up in those thoughts round and round and round. Trying to multitask, but doing everything pretty badly. What else do I end up doing? Do you end up procrastinating as well? And to get away from that discomfort, all of this stuff up here that's uncomfortable, I think that's often where, procrastinating, whether it's with things like social media, jumping in and yeah, just avoiding the tricky stuff. So when I kind of look over here, I can see, all right, so when I get all of these thoughts coming up here of I got to do everything, what's most important, I don't know, how do I do everything, I can't do everything, and that starts racing round and round. And so it's almost like the more I start thinking about it, like all of that comes up, so I start thinking about it more, but then the more I think about it, the more it builds up there, and this kind of starts to become this vicious loop over here. And kind of the same with that multitasking is it's like, right, I've got so much to do, I'll just do everything all at once. So I go down here, but then the more I multitask, the more it kind of feeds into those thoughts up here. So again, those kind of loops start building up. And so then if I kind of do jump back up into this top part up here and look at, okay, so what really matters most to me? And I'm actually going to kind of just try and simplify it and just take the situation part out and just pause for a few minutes and think, okay, who and what matters most to me, just in life in general. And so for me, it comes down to trying to put me in there, and then my husband and kids. And if I keep it simple, I guess that's kind of the three main priorities, but then all of the other stuff starts to flow out from there afterwards. So it is also kind of community, my work, the farm, and then all of a sudden I can quickly feel like why that stuff starts showing up. But keeping it simple over in this side, okay, so who and what matters most to me? So thinking about my relationships, how do I want to show up in those relationships? So thinking about, okay, I at the moment want to show up being calm and present in those relationships. And so if I get caught in all of this stuff down here, so procrastinating away on social media or multitasking badly, how well does it help me? We've already seen here that it helps pretty well in getting rid of that stuff, but then it feeds back and this is just ongoing in a cycle. But in terms of how well does it help me move towards what matters most up here and being calm and present with both my family, but also in my work and the farm, it really doesn't work particularly well at all. So what I can do is go, okay, coming down here, if I was really living in line with what matters most to me, what would I be doing instead? So if I was really living in line with being calm and present, what would I be doing? So for me, a few things I think of is actually just, what's it called? Unitasking, maybe. Do one thing at a time. Oops. Actually kind of taking those steps to be present. So whether it's kind of getting rid of distractions, putting a blocker on my phone or focus mode, and even kind of probably when I do get home after drop off, writing that list down so that I can go through and just do one thing at a time. And it sounds really simple. And sometimes I look at this and go, why aren't I doing this much easier? But the thing is, our bodies do show up with all of this top stuff in the corner, often no matter what we do. So it's about starting to do this stuff down in the bottom corner down here, even when that top stuff shows up. So then it's kind of moving down to this bottom step of what are those steps that help us to do that even when the tough stuff shows up? So what are the little things we can put in place every day to help with remembering to do one thing or getting rid of distractions? So for me, one thing that I might do is put my phone in a different room when I'm not using it. Oops. But it's also like those little routine things that we can put in. So I know that when I actually do some exercise or go for a walk, I find it much easier to focus throughout the day, drinking water as well. Oops. Okay, so that is overall the very, very messy walkthrough of managing the juggle. And this is just one kind of snapshot into it. I think it's definitely much more complicated than that. But I think even for me, just in doing that now, it's actually helped ease. We don't do it to get rid of this stuff, but I actually notice as I've just gone through there, I have settled a bit more. I'm feeling like when I get home, I can actually set myself up to work through what I need to work through in the day. So that is it for today. But yeah, I am trying very hard to get into the routine of doing these live, just to share this and get a bit more structure in. So feel free to shoot me any thoughts or comments on what you'd like explored or looked at next time. And yeah, take care of you and have a wonderful day.